Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for the next entry in my 1930s and 1940s horror film series. I'm going to be talking today about a film from 1933, and it's called The Vampire Bat. This is, you might say, part of the trilogy of films that starred Lionel Atwill and Fay Wray. If Lionel Atwill and Fay Wray are in this film, also I went through Dr. X and I went through Mystery of the Wax Museum. Those two were in the early two-strip Technicolor process. This is a standard black and white film. And this is a DVD Blu-ray. I keep calling it, I'm sorry if I do that a lot. I say DVD. Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray disc that came out by a company called The Film Detective. And this was a movie, whenever I would see it on television, in the 70s and such, that it always looked really bad, really choppy, and really, scratched up, and there would be all kinds of marks on it and everything. They did a pretty good job restoring this as good as could be. I don't think this film has ever looked better and ever will look better than it does here. But this is a movie that kind of has a feel of the old Universal horrors. You might think it was a Universal horror film. It's got a lot of atmosphere. It's got a lot of old houses and a really creepy looking village. A lot of ways they look a little bit like the sort of like the German expressionistic kind of films, that were done. So it's a nice looking film with atmosphere. That's the main thing I think it's got going for it. Now, of course, we have our stars. Here, I'll show you on the back cover here. We have Lionel Atwill, and in the middle there, we have Melvin Douglas, and then Fay Wray. Melvin Douglas was in The Old Dark House, another film from the 1930s. I'll get to eventually, I'm sure. Really good movie, that one. This is more standard fare. I wouldn't say this is really a must-see movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's basically dealing with a kind of a epidemic, if you will, of vampire, apparently, bitings that are going on. Victims are dead, drained of blood. They've got two little pricks on their neck. There's a reason for this. People think in the village vampires, without a doubt. It's either a vampire in good standing, like a vampire in human form, so to speak, or a vampire bat, or a series of bats, because there are bats all over this village. And nobody really knows what to make of it. And Melvin Douglas plays a policeman who, of course, is very skeptical. He doesn't believe in vampires, doesn't believe in the supernatural. So he thinks it's a lot of crying about nothing from the townspeople that want something done around here. Now, all the evidence points to what we'll call the village idiot. There's a kind of a dim-witted person played by none other than Dwight Frye. Some of you will know Dwight Frye from the original Dracula. He played Renfield, and then he was in Frankenstein. And Dwight Frye was a staple of a lot of these early films, and he always tended to play those kind of what you say, like half-wits, for lack of a better, or loony people or something like that, for lack of a better term. And he would be going around in this film kind of very suspicious. He likes bats. He likes to keep bats as pets. He likes to pet them like a cat. He thinks that vampire bats are soft and cuddly. So all the suspicions fall on him as the vampire or killer going around here in this village. So that's the gist of the movie. As it turns out, there's a little bit more to the goings on than meets the eye. Let's leave it at that without any kind of spoilers. I think it's a pretty good movie. It's kind of on the slow side for people who don't like slow moving movies, but it's got, like I say, it's got some creepy goings on. It's got some atmosphere, and Lionel Atwill is really good in this film. Fay Wray, not so much. Fay Wray is pretty much just there to play his assistant in this one, and she doesn't have much to do. Fay Wray, as I always mentioned, came to her real calling when she was the star of King Kong. King Kong was really what she's most famous for, and rightly so. Now, as I said, this Blu-ray is really well restored. What I like about this is they also restored a sequence in the movie with a little bit of color. It's got a little bit of color in one scene. There's a scene where a bunch of villagers are going out with their torches lit, and they're hunting for somebody who they think might be involved in this goings on here. And their torches are lit with red, orange flames. So you got a black and white film with villagers angry with their torches, but the flames are in color for that particular sequence. And I thought that was interesting. I'd never seen the film like this. So this is a really good restoration overall. And the movie itself, though, not among the best offerings of this period, if I'm to be honest. May be worth one watch, I should say. But if you don't see it, it's not a terrible oversight. But it's worth seeing for Lionel Atwill and also for Dwight Frye. Melvin Douglas is good too. So on a scale of 4 stars, I'm going to give The Vampire Bat 2.5. Thank you, everybody. I hope you'll stay tuned for the next entry.